Next year, aspiring pro players from all over the world will have the opportunity to build their stardom through a brand new series that will feature both regional and international competitions. Okay, international competitions. This right here, this particular phrase, very exciting to me. As of today, 50 minutes ago, there was an announcement from the Valorant Champions Tour Twitter account announcing the 2021 Valorant Champions Tour. Today, we are taking our next step to grow Valorant into the next great multi-generational esport with the reveal of the Valorant Champions Tour. Next year, aspiring pro players from all over the world will have the opportunity to build their stardom through a brand new series that will feature both regional and international competitions. Okay, international competitions. This right here, this particular phrase, very exciting to me because this is what everybody wants to see. I mean, we've been watching some really awesome Valorant in the region locked state of the game that we're currently playing in. And, First Strike is going to be amazing. We're going to see some very awesome, NA on NA action, EU on EU action, etc. But what everybody wants to see, G2 play against Sentinels, play against Vision Strikers, play against the best teams from Brazil, Game Landers in this case, play against the best teams in CIS, and we want to see what region is the best at this game. And we're not going to be able to see that. And actually, one thing I did notice is that there are several big name orgs like RNG, Royal Never Give Up. If you follow League, if you follow Dota, I think they're in some other games as well. They have a Chinese team, PSG, LGD. LGD, obviously one of the biggest Chinese orgs in Dota and just in general, has a Valorant team as well. But we haven't seen any of that. I have not seen any Chinese Valorant played. And so I'm very excited to see some Chinese Valorant played as well. Because, I mean, let's be honest, the best competition is going to be when all of these teams can play against each other on the same playing field without paying on LAN. And so the fact that they are saying that there will be international competition next year makes me very excited. We saw them pull it off for League of Legends, and I definitely believe that they can pull off a similar thing for Valorant. Riot has the resources to do that. And if they're putting it in the very first line of this blog, it means that they are going to do it. So I am very excited to see what happens when that comes to fruition. Okay, so let's go on a little bit farther. The Champions Tour is our effort to grow Valorant into a global esport worthy of your fandom. The expanded competition calendar will provide the framework for stars to rise and teams to make a name for themselves on both the international and regional stages. Fans will get to see how their local talent stacks up against each other, and then how they measure up on the global stage. As we were planning the Valorant Champions Tour, we received a lot of great ideas on what you wanted to see in 2021. A calendar of events that was easy to follow, open, merit-based qualifiers where teams will earn their place on the stage, and breaks for our pros to help avoid burnout. These important ideas helped guide our thinking while we were designing the 2021 Valorant Champions Tour. Alongside our founding partners, Red Bull and Secret Lab, we're thrilled to share our initial plans with you today. So they already have investment, they already have sponsors. So let's go ahead and talk about the structure now. The Vct Structure 2021. The Valorant Champions Tour will feature 3 levels of competition: Challengers, Masters, and Champions. Challengers will focus on regional competition and will be organized by both Riot and top-tier tournament partner operators. So this will be stuff like UMG and Nerd Street Gamers, which we saw run the and Blast. And, probably I would imagine ESL will get their fingers in this as well. Some of whom you've already seen running Ignition Series events and First Strike qualifiers. So, Masters events will be larger, taking place only 3 times a year. That's like kind of the major system. And feature teams who represent the best talent from their region. Finally, and ultimately, Champions will be the apex of the season, a 2-week-long tournament with the top 16 teams from around the world in attendance, where one team will be crowned the first Valorant Global Champion. Let's take a closer look. So, if you want my honest opinion, this sounds like they are taking a few different pieces from different esports and putting them together into what they think is going to be the most successful format. This whole champions from around the world, 2-week-long tournament, top 16 teams. This is straight out of Dota. This is literally the international. This is how they do this. You get 16 teams. The tournament takes 2 weeks long. The finals are, or the The bracket stage is all on stage in person with a crowd. Everybody knows that having sort of this apex event at the end of the season is really beneficial to growing the game, to building hype, to making it extremely like provocative in terms of having storylines and finally seeing the meeting of all these teams that you've watched develop throughout the year. So it plays a huge role in just kind of, I think, the general success. Having one team that is crowned the champion, the best team in the world, is a huge part of the puzzle of what makes esports work. But then also you have all these other events that happens. So throughout the course of 2021, 3 stages consisting of challenges and masters events will provide teams with multiple chances to earn points and qualify into champions. After each masters event, there will be an event break, allowing our pros and teams the opportunity to recharge and prevent burnout. Okay, this is something that people have been talking about in CSGO for a long time. It's been an issue in Dota as well. It's probably been an issue in basically every single esport because it's so easy to just continue to play. Okay, the season will kick off in late January with regional challenger events across the globe. Each challenger stage will consist of 3 tournaments and a final taking place over 6 weeks. Each tournament will feature 8 teams who will earn their spots through open qualifiers. Teams that do well in challenger tournaments will then qualify into challenger finals. The challenger final tournament will feature the best 8 teams and will award prizing and qualification slots into the next Masters event. While COVID-19 continues to impact international travel, Masters will remain limited to regional events, similar to First Strike. During the stages where Masters tournaments remain regional, they will use the 8-team format of Challenger Finals. We're eager to pivot Masters events into international lands as soon as possible, and we'll continue to monitor the situation closely for a safe time to do so. So let's go ahead and look at this. Challengers format, 3 tournaments over 6 weeks. Each event will have open qualifications, so basically open qualifier, 8 teams, top 4 finish bypass open qualifiers for next event. Each challengers event will have a prize pool, I'm sure. So getting top 4 earns you money, and then you also don't have to risk not qualifying for the next one. So that is nice because then you get time to rest. Like the open qualifiers are going to be a grueling process for every team that has to go through them every time. So top 4 goes on to Challengers Weekend 2, which is nice. And then the top 4 teams from Challenger Finals will qualify for Masters. So it also looks like what's going to happen is Challengers Weekend 1 will get you into Challengers Weekend 2 if you're in top 4, which gives you a better chance to then secure a spot in both Challenger Final and Challenger Weekend 3. And because of these arrows, it looks like, oh, interesting. Okay, so Challengers Weekend 2, I need to read the little key here. So if you get top 4 in Challengers Weekend 1, then you automatically advance to Challengers Weekend 2. If you get top 4 there, you automatically qualify for the Challenger Final. If you don't get top 4 there and you're bottom 4, you end up going to Challengers Weekend 3. So you do get rewarded for qualifying for Challengers Weekend 2, regardless. So this second open qualifier is like the most important one in my opinion, because then you have a chance to not only qualify for the final, where then you don't have to play in the third one if you don't want to, or maybe you won't even be able to. I don't know. We'll have to see whether that is a thing or not. But you will have the opportunity to get into the final. And then once you're in the final, it's going to be 8 teams. So you get 4 from Challenge Weekend 2, 4 from Challenge Weekend 3. And then the top teams from Challenger Finals will qualify for Masters. So if you're in the top 3 in the Challengers Final, then you qualify for Masters. And that will be the same for each Masters event. I guess we should read a little bit further. So far, I like the way that this is structured. This seems like it rewards teams for going through the open qualifiers. Obviously, only 4 people move on, so you might have to go back through opens again, but that kind of keeps it interesting. because you're going to have good teams that have to go through opens, and that is always exciting because there's always opportunities for upsets at that point. So let's go ahead and move on to this final part. International Masters event will feature global competition and include teams from all over the world. A total of 16 teams will battle for prizes and points that will count towards qualification into Champions, our end of the year World Championship. Additionally, the team who wins the last Masters event of the year will automatically earn qualification into Champions and an additional team slot at the event for their region. Okay. 3 teams from NA qualifying through like the circuit points. Then an NA team wins Masters number 3. They will also, but I thought they said that the Masters were going to be regional. So I'm confused. Who actually gets the spot from Masters number 3? Am I wrong? I thought that Masters was going to be regional. Masters will be limited to regional events. I don't understand. This is not clear. Riot. What's going on? Which Masters team is qualifying? Additionally, the team who wins the last Masters event of the year will automatically qualify to Champions and an additional team slot at the event. But there's going to be like 6 Masters events, right? Isn't that, am I wrong? I'm very confused right now by this. Okay. Let's just finish reading it and then talk about it a little bit more. Specific details regarding the point distribution and pricing for Masters events will be shared later. After the 3rd Masters event, a series of last chance qualifiers will provide teams with one final chance to qualify into Champions. 4 last chance qualifier tournaments will take place, creating a gauntlet from which one team per continent will qualify into Champions. The season will conclude with Champions, our version of Worlds, a massive 2-week-long event which will feature the best 16 teams from around the globe. They want Masters to be LAN events. They want them to be international LANs. And they're hoping essentially that by Masters 3, we will have LANs back, I guess. That's sort of their assumption. That's the only thing that makes sense based on how this is worded. And then the last chance qualifiers will be distributed 1 to North America, 1 to EMEA, Europe, all of CIS, all of the MENA region as well. So this is going to be insanely hard to qualify for. Then there's going to be one that accounts for Brazil and Latin America together, and then one that's sort of like the SEA total, which is Japan, SEA, Korea. I would assume that they'll probably just look at what CSGO does and then put a flag in the ground just above that. Maybe they'll do some sort of crowdfunding thing. I do not think that they're going to try and tackle the international. I don't think they're going to try and best Dota's international because $40 million is just an absurd number. Fortnite World Cup seems kind of insane also. I would imagine based on the fact that what's the world's prize pool? 2.2 million. That will be interesting to see. I mean, are they going to one up their own game, or will they try and position Valorant like below League but with potential to grow above League? I don't know. That would be very weird. I'll be very curious to see what they decide to do there. The championship will probably be, we're thinking what, like a $2 million prize pool or something like that. But then what will be the prize pool throughout the year? Because they have to keep it interesting for people to play. So far for First Strike, it's 100 grand. So I would imagine that the Masters events will probably be somewhere around there. Maybe 100, 150, 250K maybe. I guess it'll kind of depend where they want Valorant to sit in terms of prize pool. Yeah, that looks pretty interesting. I'm definitely excited. I'm very excited to see how this develops, and gotta admit, with Riot's track record, I expect they will be pretty good at sticking to their word about how this is going to go down. I do have that one question about this like Masters number 3 and how that's going to work, but with the understanding that that might be a LAN, I guess it makes sense. And to be perfectly honest, that does kind of make sense for them to do. If they can do a LAN for Masters number 3, it'll be sort of like a test run for how running a LAN will be for the champions. They can do kind of like a test cycle and then run the champions event afterwards. And that way they can kind of gauge like how COVID is affecting stuff and travel and stuff like that. So great. That is an exciting development. We already have a roadmap for 2021, and that means we have a lot of good Valorant to look forward to in the future.